All right, guys. So today we're going to look at zonal defense through the midfielders. So midfielders defending in a zonal defense. A couple weeks ago we did attackers. Today we're looking at midfielders. Okay, this is quite a long session. We're going to keep it to an hour, but we're going to have to split this one into two. So we'll either do it next week, the second part next week, or 2 weeks from now. So we're looking at zonal defense of midfielders. And if you have any questions, as always, please stop, or any comments, don't hesitate to say anything. And hopefully we'll all learn a thing or two. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen in 1 second. And here we go. All right. So midfield zonal defense. Okay, once again, this is thanks to JEAN ROBERT FAUCHER, the coach who created the PowerPoint. I just translated it to English. Okay, and we're just gonna get right to it. All right, a bunch of different topics today. We're gonna start off with central partnerships we have for defenders and midfielders. So getting right to it will be mutual covering. All right, when you know what press and cover is, well, we're looking at the covering part. When your teammate is pressing someone and you're the closest, you are covering for your teammate. When then you go out and press because the ball is shifted onto your direct opponent, your teammate's going to come over and cover for you. Mutual covering. Fairly self-explanatory otherwise. Okay. So right here, we have red team has the ball. We are the green team, the team with the numbers. That's who we'll be focused on today. Okay. Red team has the ball in the middle, and as it is shifted over to the right, number 6 comes out to press. And now what we need to see is number 8 covering. So what we will see here is number 8 moving in. The ball is starting to shift to the middle because we have blocked them off from advancing down the right. Now the ball is going over to the red player, and we are asking number 8 to press during the pass. Okay, press during the pass. The reason can anyone tell me why we wouldn't want them to press after the pass has been made?
Because it'd be too late.
Be too late, absolutely. Okay, be too late. They can move the ball on to the left. They can move the ball forward. It'd be too late. Does anyone want to take a guess as to why we don't press before the pass is made? Not too early, I should say.
Because then they'll think again before passing there.
Absolutely. Okay. It's simply put, well done. I believe that's Giovanni. Well done. If we press too early and we come out, the red player won't pass it there, and number 8 has created space in the middle for the other 2 red opponents. So pressing right as you're anticipating that pass, you don't go too early, and boom, you can press them here, get the ball. And now, obviously, we're saying number 6 has to reposition quickly to cover. Now, I'll give you the answer for this one's fairly obvious. If number 6 doesn't drop into the space here, we now have this player right here who can, boom, receive the ball right there in that space, okay? All right. And we would much rather have the ball go back across to here than to go into the middle there. So yes, number 6 is leaving the old opponent open, but that is much preferable to a forward pass. We'd rather have the opposition completing a lateral pass than completing a pass into depth. Although I will say, we did discuss pressing traps. That's for another time. In general, we would prefer a lateral pass being made in front of us instead of a pass in depth, okay? So now they're moving over to the left, and boom, number 8 has come all the way over to the left. Remember, we're in a 2v3 situation in this zone right here. All the way through, it's 3 red defenders and 2 green midfielders. We're in a 2v3 in this entire situation. So it's 2 players covering for 3, and we have to be very successful in how we do this. So by the time we get all the way out to here, the comment is reduce the space between each other. So the space between the 6 and the 8. And as Giovanni mentioned earlier, if we do not basically reduce that space, this ball here, if somehow the player is able to get the ball to him, there's a wide gap right there where he could dribble or he could pass the ball to his teammate, okay? So we want to reduce that space. This is incorrect. This is much better to what we see. okay? It's almost acting as a boomerang or a banana, okay? Always adjusting, always adjusting. If he moves here, she's gonna come over here. Okay, if the ball is there, we're gonna come over there. Always adjusting to your teammates' positioning. Because again, if the red team goes back over here, that's fine. That's fine. We can shift over. We can shift over. We can shift over if the ball keeps on moving. Okay, that's what we want to do. And final thing, final thing, final thing, final thing. Throughout this entire movement here, the last few slides, starting here, what is the one thing we're noticing about the 6 and the 8? About their movement, about their positioning in particular. They are never what?
Next, like directly next to each other, they're kind of staggered.
Exactly. That is the perfect word for it. They are staggered. From here on out, they are consistently staggered. And the reason it's so important that they are staggered is because if they are on the same line, like almost right here, so it's a good thing that there, number 6 drops. When they are on the same line, one pass can eliminate 2 players. And that is exactly what you want to avoid as a defender. Okay. So they are always, always staggered. All right, so we'll move on to the next part. Then we got it down. So just quick review. Be staggered, okay? Shift with the ball. Reduce the space between you and your teammate. Reduce the amount of lane there is. Remember this, the lane is the distance between players of the same line. So right here, 6 and 8, that is a lane. So reduce that space, be staggered, never on the same line, and react quickly. And finally, press during the pass, not too much earlier, not later, okay? Press during the pass, be staggered, never on the same line, and reduce space. That's for the first part. Repositioning behind the ball line, okay? I'm sure we have another word for it. This one was ball line, okay? All right, so ball is red team again, which again, we are defending, and the ball is moving out over here. We're shifting again, shifting. Now, number 6 is above the ball line, okay? And boom, no. Why? Okay, so we're gonna start back here. The ball is here. Why is this an issue? Take it slower. There you go.
They move before the pass.
So you move before the pass. You move before the pass. And not so much. This particular, we're gonna stop at this image right here. Why is the fact that the 6 is here an issue?
The red team can switch the field.
Okay, well, the other team can switch the field. And what was the other comment? I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
They can pass higher up the field to that player right there near 3 and the 4.
Absolutely. And I heard one more comment. Final comment. What was it?
They're leaving the middle open.
All right, we said similar things. Absolutely. They're leaving the middle open, which if we haven't stressed enough, we probably haven't over the last few weeks. The middle is the most important area of the pitch. You protect it at all costs, okay? You look at any formation of 11v11, most of the players are in the middle, where you play with a back 4, a back 3, a back 5, same thing, really. They have more players in the middle, at least 2 center backs, at least usually 2 center midfielders, at least a 10, at least a strike. Most of the players are in the middle, so make sure you're protecting the middle. And then you said, yes, by the fact that the number 6 is here, there's a direct pass, not just to the middle, but forward, okay? So this is incorrect, and what would be much better would be for us to draw up here, okay? We're behind the ball line, especially when we're in our mid to defensive third. We don't have the ball, we're in our mid to defensive third. There's no reason for our 6 to be in front of the ball. We have to be behind the ball. And yes, that means they can go back here, but we already saw what happens when that happens. We can do this, and we can shift like this, okay? Because by forcing them to go back, this happens. We can now all move up as well and gain some yards, gain some space, okay? So that's what we want to see. Do not allow them to go forward. It might seem more tempting to anticipate this pass here, but that's a risk that is not necessary in this case, okay? So what we just added there is for the many, many players that are taking notes. I'm sure you all have pen and paper with you now, okay? We're also adding be behind the ball line, okay? And if anyone, thank you, coach. And if anyone can think of a different term for ball line, because I'm blanking right now, please let us know. There we go. Double pinching the attacker, double team. We're coming back to that, okay? Coming back to that. If we remember from 2 weeks ago, all right, double pinch is, actually, I'm not going to say it. Can anyone remind us what the double pinch is?
Double team.
Yes. Yes. Double team. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Was
We're gonna-
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. Okay, 3 weeks ago. That's, well, you guys have a better excuse now, guys. There you go. Coach Clyde's watching out for you. All right, so double team, the answer's there. But double team basically saying, well, let's just watch here, okay? We're going to say this is the red number 6. So that's player A has the ball, passes it forward to one of the strikers, okay? And then we're going to see a double pinch. Who do we think should perform the second pinch? Number 4 is pinching here. Which player of the green team? The 6. Okay. All right. And why is that?
Because they're the closest player to the ball.
Closest player to the ball of the opposite side. Okay. So number 6 comes to pinch. Now, again, reminder, me, like most coaches, I believe, I rarely tell a player to go 2 on 1 player. It's just dangerous. You're leaving someone open. You, in this case, have to read the game because we can't play it for you. On the field, there is a chance. It's just like a pressing trigger. There is a moment where that double team might be worth it. That double team might be worth it. And in this case, one reason it might be worth it is because by number 6 coming here, who is she leaving open? She went from here to here. Who is she leaving open? From this to this, who did she leave open? Is it the striker who was already open? Is it the player in the center circle? The
That
other
one.
two?
Wait, that.
This one
Not
here?
that one.
This
No.
one?
Hi, that one. No.
This one.
The red player at the top in your perspective.
In my perspective. So here?
Yeah.
Okay. Leaving that player open. So fair enough, leaving that player open. Why is this player less dangerous than this one here going 1v1?
Far away from the goal.
That's all it is. Just farther away from the goal. One, it's just she's slightly wider. She's less dangerous. 2, just farther away. Just farther away from the goal, okay? And if we all remember half space, the number, this player right here is just inside of the half space. So the half space is out here where number 3 is occupying and about where number 2 is occupying. But yes, this player is much less dangerous. So 6 is saying, all right, I can go press you because you're not as dangerous. Okay, you're not as dangerous. So next, we recover the ball, and hopefully we keep possession of the ball intelligently. Just a quick question. Number 6 recovers the ball from here to here. What are our best options? In this perspective, what is our best option? If there's more than 1, let us know. 3, yeah. Play it back, play it forward. What should we do? We could go over here and just create space. It's all there, okay? And that would be the best option because 6 would be playing the way he faces. Simple as that, done and dusted. Double pitching the midfielder. Again, double team. So last time we were double pinching the attacker. This time we're double pinching the midfielder. Okay, I'm going by very quickly. I know you guys want to get back to whatever it is you do at your age. Okay, so moving here. This player has the ball. Number 8 presses player A while closing off the flank to isolate C. Basically just gave you the answer to this question. Why doesn't she press this way? Because she's allowing this space there to go to C, okay? And based on how A is facing, it'd be a difficult pass to get it here, okay? Based on where the ball is and the way A is facing, it's more likely passing to B because 8 has pressed likely in this direction like this. Boom. Going from this way to this way, we said you can't pass to the player being guarded by number 5, but now you can't pass to letter C, okay? So boom, they have closed off the flank. That is what you want to do most in the game, is to force the opposition one way, okay? Depending on what your strategy is, depending on what your strength is. Some would say, hey, force them to the middle because that's where our strength is. More power to you if that's how it is. Some would say force them left because that's where our strength is. Some would say force them right because that's where our strength is. You have to know what your strength is in the team and in that particular moment.
Question.
Yes.
No, I have a question. So, I mean, and I know different coaches have their way of pressing. Like, would you recommend in a pressing situation and forcing and I know you just said to where your strong points are. I mean, usually I tell my players to press the players, force them to play the ball wide, or take away or sometimes if we're playing a team and I feel like, they have a couple dynamic players out wide, I force them to play, force them to play through the middle.
Right.
What would you recommend in like a situation,
On a personal level, my dream is to one day consistently force teams in the middle because I think we could punish them there through the middle the most. But with younger teams and depending on the level, I rarely do that. So I always say force it wide and let us have structure because it's too complicated to teach. You need 4 practices a week and all that. So I would, in most cases, is force them wide. That's farther away from the goal. That allows your team to reset. It gives your team confidence. And simply put, it's a lot easier to coach and to teach. And so for the players, a lot easier to grasp. So in general, I would say force them wide and pick a side. If you can force them one way, even better.
Okay.
Guys, did we get that? We're going to say yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sorry, Coach Clyde's going. I'd rather listen. Never mind.
No, I think you can go.
Okay. On that same point, I mean, when we think about the logic of it and how you're coaching it, Danny, like it's also where the sideline is, where you can get the extra defender.
Exactly. That it was something we don't do enough of. Like I know us, the coaches and older players, they use the sideline, but honestly, guys, the sideline is your friend. You do not. We always think that we have to get the ball right away. No, sometimes you just need to slow it down, let the ball go out, or just give your team time to reset. That's all it is. So remember, the sideline is very, very useful. As a fullback, I was very good at that. Anyway, moving on. All right, so we have now pushed the ball this way. So number 8 has said you can't pass to C. The way I pressed means you can't pass to this player here. Okay, you only have one option, and that is to player B. 6 has gone out to press. And this one is a little controversial, all right? 8 goes as well. But to do this, I have to stress on you guys, it has to be quick. It has to be quick because if 8 is too late and this player drops into this space there, that double team is going to result in eliminating 2 green players, okay? So you have to be quick and you have to be slightly staggered to stop the pass back to A because if they're able to pass here, boom. It's the same thing as eliminating A and B because if A is good, we'll take a good first touch forward and 6 and 8 are eliminated, okay? So if you're going to do this, this player has to be extremely intelligent and extremely quick, but I wanted to put it in anyway. And this in particular, I would do with either I really trust my 8, they're really dynamic, they understand the game, or if we're chasing the game, okay? You have to have these 2 players need to have a solid partnership. And that is for you as players and obviously us as coaches to determine as well, okay? This is the few times I would tell you to get anywhere near the same line. Okay, so we can double pinch. We talked about double pinching an attacker from the front and from behind. So here it was from both sides. And here it is from one side, pressuring them one way. And if we pressure them this way, this basically means you either have to go back all the way to your goalie to pass the ball or to someone behind you, or you have to pass to the right, which is great with us because that's the sideline. And as Coach said, that's another defender for us. But it's all about timing. Okay, timing. So one more time, I'm going to ask you at the end. We discussed timing, staying behind the ball line, always protecting the goal. We're going to discuss a term for that. Always protecting the middle, being staggered, never on the same line, and double teaming. And did I say anything else? I did. I can't remember. All right, defensive switching. Okay, so there's not just switching on offense when we change the point of attack going from one side to the other, okay? We're talking about defensive switching. The best way to think about it is in basketball. When you see a pick and roll and the defender switch the people they're defending, we're basically talking about the same thing here. That makes it a little clearer. So the ball is here with our red player. They have their teammate check into space, into the center circle. Number 8 follows. This player travels over to this side, keeps the hold of the ball, travels over to this side. And this is where the zonal aspect comes in, from here to here, okay? Because by doing this is actually 2 options here. You tell me if you agree with this or not, okay? 8 follows the direct opponent all the way to here, and 6 comes here, okay? So starting again. What do we think of this? Do we agree? Do we see a better option?
I agree.
You agree? And who was that? Or why do you agree?
I agree because 8 is a closer player, and just to drop off, it would take some time for 6 to get up. And so I think it would just be easier if they switched.
Very good. Anyone disagree? Okay. All right. I personally am torn, if I'm honest. Okay. I think that you can apply both in both situations. Most cases, I would actually disagree and say that 6 should take this player on right as this is moving there. Okay. Right as they're moving there. But as you said, remember, this isn't really to scale. We're not actually on the field, so we can't see it. As you said, 6 might be too far, and the best solution might be 8 continuing here and 6 just moving over to the right side quickly to shift over, okay? Both scenarios can happen in a game. In fact, both scenarios will happen in literally every single game, whether it's between the left back and the left center back, or it's between 2 6s, between a strike. You will shift, and it will be up to you to decide, all right? And in this situation, who should be calling the switch? Is the 8, the 6? Who should be calling for the switch?
I think the 8 should, because he's or she is the one that is on the player.
Okay, we say the 8 should switch. I heard 2 people say 8. Okay, fair enough. I would say both. Preferably would be able to read the game, but absolutely, yes. 8 is closest. Although we can say 6 sees a little bit more of the game, 8 is closest. 8 should make that decision because 8 has already made the decision by following. So she said, all right, I'm going to follow this player. That's one thing. Don't forget you have to teammate. Let your teammate know that it's time to switch from there to there, okay? So defensive switching or rotating almost, if you will. This is not quite the zonal part of it because number 8 is man marking this player and following. But the zonal part comes when 6 says, I'm now going to shift over to here to protect you, to protect the space you had, okay? Yes, Coach.
Yeah, my approach is, in terms of the decision making, is generally a function of the distance between the 2 players. If they're far apart, and I'm not sure yet what far apart is, but if they're too far apart, then it makes a lot more sense to switch as opposed to tracking,
Absolutely.
And then generally when this occurs inside the 18, I get really skittish, because generally I'm not looking for switching to take place inside my box.
Exactly.
I'm like, you stick with that person and then there's no confusions, because oftentimes, if 8 track and 6 thinks that she's going to switch and they make that decision, now you have somebody that's wide open. And we can afford for that to happen in the middle of the field as opposed to in front of our goal.
That is excellent. So that's a very good remark to make. So basically, Coach just said, when we're in a dangerous situation, basically in and around our 18, that is not a good time to be switching because any good attacker worth their salt just needs half an inch, half a bit of space to get a shot off. Okay. Mm-hmm. If we're farther up, again, it's like Coach said, we don't really have the scale here. It depends on the distance. And I know another player mentioned it as well. It depends on how far number 6 would be from the player she would take over from. Right. In this case, too far away. So 8 tracks over and 6 shifts. If 6 is much closer, 6 can then track over. Okay. But that has to be on you, and you have to read that game. You have to have the distance, okay? And that will come with experience as well, so no stress on that. So we discussed shifting, and the one time, well, not the one time, one of the main times we want to avoid shifting is in and around our penalty box because the opposition just needs a little bit of space to get a shot off, okay? Counteracting a 1-2 / wall pass in the middle, okay? So we're going to see a 1-2 or a wall pass, and how do we defend against that? Once again here, you're going to have to tell me if you agree with what happens or not.
Malengli. That's your new name.
Okay.
Malengli. Oh, that sounds similar.
We have someone on our
Malengli.
phone today. All right, so we have red team has the ball, and we're going to see a little 1-2. Boom. This is what we're highlighting right now to counteract this 1-2. 8 is going to be the one to drop off because 6 has pressed up. And we recover. Number 3 intelligently drops off to receive the ball there. And 6 has dropped off into that space there. Okay. That is what we saw there. That is option number 1. Okay, one more time. Do we have any initial thoughts on that one? We will create scenario 2 ourselves then, okay? So we're starting back up here. The wall pass has begun. The difference between this one and this one, what's the difference here? Okay, sorry. There and there.
Defenders dropped back in the second one.
The defenders dropped back, okay? And thus, the attempted wall pass was thwarted. Why might this one right here, the second one, not work, where the defenders drop back? Let me give you a clue. What is faster, the ball or the player?
The ball.
The ball, okay? So if 6 tries to anticipate, it might not be fast enough because the ball is going to get there a lot quicker. Secondly, 6 will be backpedaling while this red player will be sprinting forward. So the red player has advantage, okay? That's number 1, okay? Also, if 6 drops back, they don't have to play it forward. This player will just stop here and they'll play it there, which again, isn't a problem for us. They're making lateral passes. We're not worried about that. That's not an issue. But if we come back to option number 1, what do we think of option number 1 after what we just said? What did we do here? Would we call this switching perhaps?
Yeah.
Yes, we would. Absolutely. Do we think this is a viable option? Do we think that this would be possible in a game?
Yes.
I think so. I think it'd be very difficult, though. I think it would be very difficult. And so this is actually a little bump or interlude in our road today, basically to tell you that the 1-2, that wall pass, when well executed, is an incredibly dangerous play and very hard to defend against. Very, very hard to defend against, okay? It requires a great deal of responsibility and understanding between the defenders to be able to counteract it. So in this case here, 8 switches off, which I don't think is a bad option in this case. Even if they weren't to get the ball, they'd be able to be in front of this red player here, and the 6 would come over there, and that's fine with us as well. That's fine with us as well, okay? So we just need to remember that on that 1-2, that might be the best time to switch here, okay? Especially if the 6 is caught too high up, because the mistake here is made by the 6. The mistake here is made by the 6. Got too high on the player, got too close to the player. The player has the advantage, and they switch off. Do we understand that part? Let's pick on someone. Aiden, did you understand that? Okay. Defending the middle on a cross. We're going to move on to that. We're going to move on to that. Something we have very rarely discussed is crossing the ball and how to defend crossing the ball, all those things. So we're moving on to that. Might be a little bit of fun today. Okay, it's a very small section for us. Ball's out wide here. We have forced them wide. Boom, which isn't so bad. Okay. Oh, we left a little bit of in French. All right, so I'll translate for you. Number 8 is anticipating the ball in the middle, is anticipating protecting the middle, okay? Instead of going out wide, the ball goes out wide. Number 8 stays in the middle here in this area here. Really has no better place to go, okay? And then drops into that space here. Why is it important that this 8 comes into this space here? Okay, why is it important that this happens, that he goes from there to there? Any ideas?
Because there's the gap.
There's a gap. Yes, absolutely. We got to protect the spaces. All right. What other principle is important? I'm not giving you a clue yet, so it might be a little hard. Don't worry. All right, here's an answer. Let's say we have a corner. We are attacking and we have a corner. They leave one attacker back for them. How many defenders should we leave? Make that a little clearer. So, okay. We are McLean and we have a corner for us, okay? Coach Clyde is taking the corner, all right? The opposition, we're going to say Milton, the attacker, is the opposition, and I have not gone to defend the corner because I don't feel like defending. I'm going to stay high up the field. That's what my coach said. I'm going to stay high up the field. So I'm one attacker of the opposition staying high up the field. How many defenders should McLean put with me in a tie game?
One.
One. Okay, someone said one. Anyone agree or disagree?
Agree.
I would say a +1.
There it is. Okay, guys. In general, always +1. What have coaches told you so often? A 1v1. Offensively, we love a 1v1. If we have those tricky little players, we want a 1v1. So defensively, we always want to have at least one more player than the opposition. So if they have one attacker, we want 2 defenders. They have 2 attackers, we want 3 defenders. They have 3 attackers, well, that means they're not defending the corner very well. So we might only keep 3 back, depending on what you want to do. So in this case, here they have 1 striker going into the box, another striker going into the box, and all in the middle. That means, as one of our players said, there's a gap in the middle. But there are also 2 players right here of the opposition, and we need 3. Because the goalie is focused on the ball. Number 3 is focused on this cross here. And number 2 is focused on that back post ball that we always have to worry about, that most dangerous ball that we consistently ignore. Okay, so number 8 drops there. And what is missing? Number 3 is going to go over there. That's fine. Number 4 is defending correctly. Number 5 is defending correctly. Number 8 is here. Number 2 has the back post ball. Where should number 6 be? Is number 6 good in the middle? As in, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
About there?
Stop.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. And why recovers immediately towards the middle? Boom. Why do we want the player here and not here on this red player there?
So they can cover for rebounds.
There it is. They can cover for rebounds. If the ball somehow ends up here, that's all right. The 6 still has time to get out to there. And even if the ball does end up here, again, that's okay because they're farther away from the goal, okay? And we want to be right here to protect from any rebounds. Absolutely on that. Absolutely, 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 okay? So we're going to do a little interval right here, and we're going to talk about the ball-goal axis, okay? Ball-goal axis. And just very quick, you can call it whatever you want. I'm sure you guys have different terms for it. The ball-goal axis is this. This is the ball right here. We're all seeing the ball. Make it a little bit, no, let me make it bigger. You guys see the ball. And this is the goal. The goal is right there, okay? The ball goal axis is the line from the ball to the goal. That's all it is. The line from the ball to the goal. You as a defender want to always protect that axis. So you always want to be there. So the ball is here. This number 6 wants to be in between the ball and the goal. That's the ball goal axis. And that is the basis of defending right there. Knowing where the goal is, knowing where you are in relation to the goal, and knowing where the ball is in relation to the goal, and thus bringing that all together. That is the ball goal axis. So in everything we have discussed, from the shifting to the switching to the covering and the pressing, it all comes through the principle of the ball goal axis. Okay, once again, it's just the line from the goal to the ball. Okay, so we're gonna cut our interval there and go back to it. Just remember, ball goal axis, staggered, never on the same line. Communicate on your switch. Switching depends on the distance between the players. Avoid switching in the penalty box. And I'm sure I forgot something. If you guys can chip in, don't hesitate. Okay. On to midfield heading. Heading in the midfield. Okay. This is actually a very interesting one. Might not be the most fun for you all, but I find it very interesting. Midfield heading. Okay. The goalie has the ball. Opposition goalie has the ball. So the red team goalie has the ball. This is our back line. All right. These are their forwards and their 6s. Okay. So they have, say, their left wing, their striker, the right wing, 6 and the 6. Sorry, 2 8s right here. Okay. Real quick, the reason they're so close up together is when you go long, when you're going to go long. So let's say that they are going to play it long. Your goal is to put it in a dense area, because if you're putting it all the way over here, the advantage goes to number 3 because they're going towards the ball this way and the red team is running away from it. So number 3 has the ball. Your best bet is to get it into a dense area and try to win on a knock on. This right here, this is advantage red, or it's at least 50-50 compared to the ball all the way over here, 1v1. Okay, the green team should, if they do it well, get the ball there. Okay. Now that little part has been said. Going to watch as the ball. Nope. Why is this not all right? Why is it what does moving by the 6 and the 8 not okay? Well, I just gave you the answer. Because we're splitting up the space here. We're splitting it up. And the same way the red team wants to be dense, so do we. Because all it takes is one deviation to get it past, okay? Yes. Why? Oh, there we go. Still a little bit of French. The answer is right here. The space is better protected, and we can attack every possible ball trajectory. We have the lanes closed off between the 3 and the 4 and the 8, the 8 and the 5, the 5 and the 6, and the 6 and the 2. Every single space there is closed off, and anywhere the ball goes, we can attack it, okay, without being too far away from the ball. Whereas here, this is a horribly dangerous ball because this one is backing up, doesn't have the advantage, while this one is going forward, does have the advantage, okay? You want to attack the ball forward. You don't want the ball to be behind you, where it is with the 6 and the 8 here. You want to attack, go forward with the ball, okay? So that is what we're looking for. That's the difference between this and this. This and this. We have 6 players who can attack the ball going forward, whereas here we only have 4 players who can attack the ball going forward. And there's no guarantee that they're going to win that ball. Okay. Number 6 attacks the ball. Number 5 and number 4 anticipate the deviation. So if it goes past them, boom, they're there. They're dropping. They're obviously not running all the way down here. That's just the arrows to give you an idea of where they're moving. And number 8 anticipates the second ball, okay? I know you guys have coaches that tell you all the time, it's not about the first ball all the time. It's about that second ball. You want to win that second ball. That first ball is is 50-50 at best half the time. That second ball is about who wants it more and who anticipates it correctly and at the right time, okay? And in this case, well, it wasn't the best of headers. It went forward that way. And that's all right. We just shift over. Boom, okay? So the global part of it is boom. Wide partnerships for defenders and for midfielders. Okay, we'll see if we get through this section before the end. Wide movement of two lines. So just two lines, a defensive line and midfield line. That's a line right there. So much bigger field, many more players. The two center backs for the opposition team have the ball. Number 11 positions themselves in the lane so as not to force the fullback to press too high. So basically, let me make that a little bit simpler. This player passes to player A, boom. This player comes out, 11 comes out here. Why? So that number 3 doesn't have to come out here. Because if number 3 comes all the way out here, where's the space now? Between the 3 and that 4, and that gap is humongous. The gap there is humongous. Okay, so number 11, by number 11's positioning, she's allowing number 3 to stay where she needs to stay. Your positioning determines your teammate's position. That's what we need to think. So number 11 comes all the way out here, stopping player A to pass to player B, and allowing player 3 to stay in her position there. That is important. So now, player B needs to get open. What can they do? They can drop here, but that's not particularly interesting. Or they can move into this space here, and now they move into player 3's space. So player 3 has exerted 0 energy, but is now marking a player, thanks to his teammate, number 11. If B decides to advance, he will fall into the fullback space, which is exactly what we said. Okay. And the reason this player is coming out all the way here is because number 11 has stayed here, has not come back into this space to prevent the pass there. Okay. So let's watch that one more time. Take your time in reading that. Right, so they can't do that. So now they reverse. They're going to switch play, bring it over here. We shift over with them. And number 7 does the exact same thing that, boom, number 11 did. Okay, stopping this pass here so that number 2 does not need to come press out all the way here to the touch line. Okay. So that means they now pass to their left back. And boom, now 7 is intelligent, says, all right, I'm going to stop you from passing to the left back, to your left wing. Very good. So the left wing is intelligent enough to say, if this space is blocked here, I'll just go into the middle. And if they go into the middle, who can we have to pick up this player here? This player here. Who can pick him up?
8.
We went from here to here. We have 8 that can pick him up. Okay. All right.
Or the 2.
Or the 2. Okay, absolutely. So let's see what the decision was. Boom. It was the 2 that came to pick them up. And notice what the 6 did. The 6 dropped into this space here. Right there. So 2 came in to protect. The 6 dropped into this space here. And the 11, notice where the 11 came from, came inside to basically take the 6's position there. And now, because this player has decided to play like Marcelo of Real Madrid, cutting inside to the middle, number 8 says, I'm going to come and press you. Number 7 is going to perform a double pinch as well. And boom, the green team recovers the ball. So all of this, green team recovering the ball on their right side of the field, comes from, boom, right back here. Number 11, stopping a pass. Number 3 shifting over. And then us shifting over to look at how much space we allow here because we're defending on one side. Okay. That means that they cannot progress through to our left side, so they have to switch all the way to our right side, which is what we see here. And we shift quickly enough that they're not able to cross it over. Boom. Number 7 is stopping that pass there. So they go left back. Still can't pass there. Their left wing goes inside. Number 2 picks them up. And then double pinch. Okay. For our last little bit, going to look at the high zone. Objective is push the opposition back into their own half. Okay, so what we're going to want to do here is push the opposition back into their own half. That is fairly self-explanatory, I think. All right, so they have the ball. All right. This time we're on the other side of the field. We're still the green team. Okay. We're looking at 2 lines. We're looking at our midfield line and our defensive line. This is basically a 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1. Okay. That is what we are playing with here. Okay. In their case, they are playing with a 4-3-3 or 4-1-4-1. They play it out to one side. We shift over as you expect. Number 7. What do we call this movement by number 7 here? From there to there. We mentioned it a couple times today. It's called pressing. Okay. All right. And number 8 is covering. Okay. They now pass higher up the field. Number 2 gets closer. And look at the movement of the other players, okay? Don't look at number 2 and number 8. Look at number 5, 6, 7, 4, 11, 3, okay? From here to here to here. We are forcing them to play it back. Remember, that is the objective. Push the opposition back into their own half. Their goal is to progress. Our goal is to push them back. And now, of course, they don't want to go all the way back, so they're going to have to reset, cycle possession. This part right here is the most interesting. Number 5 lets the forward go off sides so they don't have to drop back, okay? So number 5 says, this forward can make that run forward so that I don't have to drop back, because if number 5 is forced to drop back here, there's a space there. Okay, that space that can be taken by this striker there, space that can be taken by this midfielder there, the space, depending on how quick this winger is, can be taken there, or simply put, this forward can move forward and then come back into that space, which is something we saw in the video from the McLean girls. She made a run forward, the defender went with her, and then she checked back into the space that was liberated, okay? By number 5 saying you can just keep that space, we are now able to push forward. And this leads us to the depth movement of the 2 lines, okay? But before we get to that, one more time, a review of what we're making clear. We have about 10 minutes left. Shifting involves communication and depends on the distance between the teammates. and the distance between one player on our team and the ball player on the opposition team. When we are pressing and covering, we have to make sure that we're never on a line, that we're always staggered, because if we are on a line, one pass or one dribble drive, anything, we are both eliminated. Okay? We have to shift over as a team. We can switch on covering. It depends, again, whether we're tracking, man marking, or just simply switching. And do not switch or avoid switching at most costs in our own penalty area, because all it takes is just a half bit of space for them to get a shot off. And now what we have added here is the sideline is your friend. The sideline is an extra defender, and we have to learn to use it. Okay? And in this case, offsides is our friend. Again, of course, if the referee is doing a good job. Okay. All right, depth of movement of the two lines. The last mini category. Okay. We're moving here. Okay. So their 6 has possession. They have gotten very wide on the ball. We're staying very narrow, because if we get too far wide on either side, we're creating space or creating gaps. So we're staying narrow, looking like Atletico Madrid. They move the ball over to the right. We shift over. 11 comes over to press. 3 is covering, ready to press the winger if necessary. 11 presses here. And this is where it gets very exciting. All right, this is my favorite part of it, okay? Starting here, depth movement of the two lines. So we went from how do the two lines move from touch line to touch line, now to how do the two lines move from end line to end line, okay? Moving out to here. Boom. Why do the two lines push up? Why do the two green lines push up? Because player A cannot advance, okay? So one more time. Player A has the ball. Player A cannot play it forward. She doesn't have time on the ball. That means green team can push up. If this ever happens in a game, you see that player A has space on the ball and you're a defender, that is a direct message for you to drop. However, if you see that your teammate is pressing the ball player, that tells you that you can push up. Because if they have time on the ball, that means they can play the ball over the top. That means that their offense can make a timed run so they won't be offsides and receive the ball. But if your teammate is pressing the ball player, that means that gives you an opportunity to push up, gain some space, and gain some air and some breath. But that also means you have to push up, because otherwise you will be cut in half. You'll have half of your team pressing, half of your team dropping back, and the space will be in the middle. This is one of the main things I want you guys to get from today is when the opposition player has time to lift up their head, that means you need a drop back. Defensive line in particular, you need to drop back. If the opposition ball player does not have any time on the ball, is being hassled and harried, or just cannot lift their head up, that is a direct message for you to move forward. It's a little trick if you want to think about it. It's, oh, do they have possession? All right, be ready for them to go long. They might not go long, but you got to be ready for them to go long. They got to be ready for them to try a defense lead pass, something like that. If they do not have time on the ball, that's a direct message to your team. Tell you guys, we need to push up. We need to push up, push up, push up. Close it, make it narrow, make it compact, okay? That's what they both go back to. If they have time on the ball, your entire team is likely dropping back, so you're dropping back and staying compact. If they don't have time on the ball, your entire team is pushing up, you're pushing up together, so you're staying tight and compact, okay? So our next topic of discussion would normally be zonal pressing, but we're gonna stop there. And I would actually like for us to, together, tell me what we have discussed, okay? I will write it right here on the board. So what have we mentioned? I've said it a few times to give you guys an effort, a little hint for the part of this. What have we learned today, if we have learned anything at all?
Pressing and covering.
What can you tell me about pressing and covering? Because I'm pretty sure you guys knew pressing and covering.
How you have to be on different lines. One guy's on the player and the other's not on the player, so they can't penetrate.
Absolutely. What did we call that?
Staggering.
Staggered. Absolutely. So staggered. Okay, we want to be staggered. All right. And as you said, we want to be staggered because all it takes is one pass, one dribble, whatever, to eliminate an entire line if we're on the same line. Okay. What else have we picked up? I'm going to ask you guys to help me write down 5 things. That's all it is. We talked about 8 things. All you need to give me is 5. And then
Double
you'll be free.
pinch.
The double pinch. All right. Tell me an example of when we would do it, or tell me what it is. Tell me something about the double pinch.
It's when like 2 people go for the same person.
Ball player. Okay. When would it be a good, useful time to do that? Let's help them out, guys.
1v2.
A 1v2. Okay. The player plays themselves into a 1v2. You have a chance to get it. Absolutely. Well done. All right. Just 3 more and you'll be free to go. And you must still be writing down your notes. It's okay, guys.
When a line should shift from the end line to end line.
Right. Absolutely. So that is depth movement of the team. All right. So shifting from back to front. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. That is the entire team. Okay. I'm actually going to give you 2 for that because there's 2 things in that. And so just we're going to remember that is a little trick. Now, again, everything depends on the particular case, the particular moment in the game, the particular teams. But we'll say when ball player has time on ball, drop. When ball player does not, we push. Okay. There we go. And last one more.
Defense, we should stay behind the ball line.
I love that one. Excellent. That was the one I forgot. Thank you. Defensively, this has been a completely defensive presentation today. Stay behind the ball. Okay. Stay behind the ball. All right. Now, that doesn't mean that you have 11 players behind the ball, unless maybe their goalie has the ball. But in general, particularly in midfield, remember, we're talking about midfielders. You need to stay behind the ball. So you need to reposition yourself behind the ball, okay, to make sure we have people between the ball and the goal, because that is our ball goal axis. All right, perfect. Boom. Excellent, guys. I will leave this up on the screen for those 20-odd players that are writing notes. Okay, I'll leave it on for about 10 more seconds, and then we will quit the sharing, and we will finish off with a nice howdy ho. All right. There we go. Okay. Ladies and gents, thank you again for this session. We kept it to an hour, as we said. I hope you learned a great deal. We will continue this further for the next few weeks, however long we have to. Tell your coaches again, thank you. Tell your teammates to share and come along. Tell you share with your teammates as well what you've learned as well. And of course, this will be on YouTube for those that couldn't make it or want to check it out again. Okay. Thank you once again, and see you next time.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, coaches.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.